before we begin the session. Hi everyone, good evening. Let's wait for a couple of minutes for people to join in and then we'll begin the session. This is a little bit about me to understand who your educator is, who is on this side today taking this session and helping you out with your IIFT preparation and other OMITs preparation. People who are joining this as live audience can post their doubts live in the session and get them clarified. The session is going to be about last minute revision for IIFT 2019. Yesterday also we had one session, today is a continuation of that session. So let's wait for a couple of minutes and then we'll begin. It's just 6 right now. I joined in earlier than 6, so another minute or two as we wait for people to join in. People who are joining, please comment when they join. This is an opportunity for everyone on Unacademy to get connected to us, ask their doubts live in the session, get them clarified. Any exam they are appearing for, any management entrance exam they're appearing for, they can come online and get them clarified from us, educators on the platform. Let's wait for another couple of minutes. So waiting for people to join in. People who are joining can please comment and confirm that if they can hear me fine, they can see my screen fine. Although I have like another device open where I can see that everything is fine and your comments are going to be there on that device. And if you have any live doubts regarding IIFT or any other OMIT that is due to be taken by you guys in 2019, please post them. Any doubts, anything you may have, you want to check from me. Namita confirmed that I'm audible. Thank you, Namita. Chaliye. So welcome to another session, part 2 session on last minute revision for IIFT 2019. Yesterday we discussed about some key points for the pattern of IIFT and some, we discussed some bird's view of how the preparation should look like. We're going to get into detail today, and we're going to revise some important concepts live in this session. This is me, Bhavuk Pujara. A little bit about me, my background, my academic background, my professional background. so that you and I can connect better. If you find any similarity and or any inspiration from my profile, please connect on the platform Unacademy. It will help us connect better, and I can help you in any way possible. So I scored a 98.3. My CAT is on 15. I graduated from MDI Gurgaon in 2018. I'm a verified educator on this platform, Unacademy, with over 750 videos. I'm training people like yourselves for past 4+ years now. While I was preparing for my own exam, I started teaching too. I have my name published in TMH Books for CAT by Mr. Arun Sharma. I worked with the team for some time, and I still do on part-time basis. And to know more about me, you can visit this link, unacademy.com/user/Bhavuk Pujara. Okay, we discussed these general points. You can watch the recording from yesterday. Let me just skip to the part where we'll continue today's session from. All right, while we were discussing section number 4, which is logical reasoning, some important takeaways for IIFT 2019 were that this section is very different from what it appears in CAT. So be ready for this pattern change. The kind of questions you would have seen in logical reasoning in CAT would be very high level, would be difficult level questions. These questions here will appear easy to medium level questions. Okay, but practice following types of questions as well. These don't appear in CAT exam, like syllogisms, input, output, alphabet and numeric series, and analogies, etc. Practice these unconventional types of LR questions. We're going to quickly revise syllogisms. We're going to pick up like important topics today in the session, and we're going to revise them. We're going to do this new method or new way of solving syllogism question, which is without using Venn diagrams. That is 150 rule, if you have heard about it. I've also made a course on this. You can refer to that course if you have doubts after this clarification that we do today, after this discussion that we do today. Okay, now we know that syllogism is a kind of question when it appears. People tend to draw Venn diagrams, and sometimes they get confused. Sometimes they don't understand what the question is about. Sometimes they've just not touched syllogism as a topic because they find it very hard. It's very visual based kind of question that appears, and people don't want to get into that in live exam. So there's this 150 rule for you people. Most of the questions, and I guarantee you this, take my word for it, that most of the questions of syllogism can be solved using 150 rule. That is something we're going to discuss today. Okay, and if you have any doubts during the course of this session, please post them in the comment section box. Some rules to note: that whenever you have two positive statements, for example, all A is B or some A is B, this is not a negative statement, this is a positive statement, right? If you have two positive statements, will always give you a definite positive conclusion. For example, if you have one statement, all A is B and some B is C, something like this, then a negative conclusion cannot be drawn from these two positive statements at all. Okay? A definite negative conclusion cannot be drawn. A definite positive conclusion can be drawn. Likewise, if you have one positive and one negative statement, will always give you a definite negative conclusion. What about a definite positive conclusion? No. Then a negative and a negative statement gives you no conclusion, no definite conclusion. Yes, you may get some probable solutions, probable conclusions. For example, if it is given all A is B and all B is C, something like this, right? Or some A is not B or no A is B, something like that. Some two negative statements are given to you, right? Then no conclusion can be drawn. It is a probable negative conclusion or a probable positive conclusion can be drawn. For example, some A may be B or some B may be C, something like that. Okay? So definite conclusion cannot be drawn from two negative statements. Next thing, whenever you're given an all statement, it's considered to be an exhaustive statement because you can tell everything about the subject of that statement. For example, all A is B. I'm very sure where all A lies. It is inside the B circle. What about no A is B? I'm very sure, I'm 100% sure where A and B lies. They don't intersect each other. So no A is B, I'm 100% sure about A and B. Some statement is a non-exhaustive statement because I cannot comment on 100% values of A and B. And other non-exhaustive statements, for example, some A is not B. So the scores are assigned. To an all statement, a score of 100 is assigned. To a no statement, a score of 100 is assigned. Some is 50-50. Let's see what I mean. When a statement is given, all A is B, या फिर all men are car. Men is the subject here, car is the object here. The subject is given marks of 100 and the object is given marks of 50. So men is given a score of 100, car is given a score of 50. Case 2, second statement, some men are car. A score of 50 and 50 is assigned to subject and object. Third case, no men are car. If you draw the Venn diagram, you will see that these two circles don't intersect. Right? So a score of 100 and 100 is assigned to both subject and object here. Case number 4, some men are not car. Here a score of 50 and 100 is assigned to subject and object respectively. Now how to solve using this 150 rule? To consider the statements as income and consider conclusions, the set of conclusions as expenditure. So what's going to happen is, let's see. For example, there are two statements given to you. All Amit are intelligent. All statement a score of 100 and 50 respectively is assigned here. All intelligent are smart. So score of 100 and 50 again is assigned to subject and object respectively. Now we have to select the correct conclusion. The first conclusion is all smart are Amit. A score of 150 is assigned because it's an all statement. We learned here. It's an all statement assigned a score of 150. Right? Second conclusion is some smart are Amit. Some statement gives a score of 50 and 50 to subject and object both. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to consider statements as my income and expenditure as my conclusions. Conclusions are going to be expenditure. So what happens in real life also is that your expenditure is always less than or equal to your income. You cannot spend more than what you earn. Right? Now the score is assigned. The first thing I'm going to check is these two statements. Is there any common object in these two statements, common entity? I see the entities being talked about here are Amit, intelligent. Second statement are intelligent and smart. So there's a common entity, intelligent, in both these two statements. So first thing, the first step should be that you find a common entity. If there's no common entity, there cannot be any conclusion drawn from these set of statements. Okay? Second thing is that this common entity, this addition of the scores of these common entities in these two statements should be greater than 100. So 50 here and 100 here. A score of 150 is being carried by the common entity intelligent here. Is it greater than 100? Yes. So we can move ahead and draw some conclusions out of these set of statements. Now let's see. Smart as an entity is carrying a score of 100. Smart is an entity that has a score of 100 or is spending, because this is expenditure. Smart is spending 100 rupees. How much is Smart earning? 50 rupees. Is it possible? No. Therefore, this conclusion can be right away struck off. Right? You can strike out this conclusion. That this conclusion cannot be drawn. Second conclusion. Some Smart are Amit. What is the score of Smart in conclusion? 50. That means Smart is spending 50 rupees. How much is Smart earning? 50 rupees. Amit is spending 50 rupees. Amit is earning 100 rupees. As income, spending 50 rupees as expenditure. Is it possible? Yes. Smart is earning 50 rupees and spending 50 rupees. Is it possible? Yes. Therefore, this conclusion can be drawn. Okay, so out of these set of two conclusions, one cannot be drawn, second one can be drawn. Okay, is there anyone who has any doubts? I'm revising this quickly because this is one of the important topics in logical reasoning of IIFT exam. Okay, no questions. We're discussing quantitative aptitude for IIFT 2019. What should be done in this last 1 week? When you're sitting in the exam, and my general view of IIFT quantitative aptitude section is that it's pretty easy, but it's just that the questions are a little lengthy. They're not as complex as CAT questions. You just have to spot and solve the easy questions only. And revise these important chapters: algebra, modern math, arithmetic, geometry, and even coordinate geometry questions are asked in IIFT. Number systems is not very prominent. Section number 6, data interpretation. DI questions are going to be very easy when they appear in IIFT. The only problem is that they are very, very calculation intensive sets. Right? So focus on solving fast. And my suggestion would be that you don't solve more than 40 to 50% of DI in IIFT. It's just a waste of time. It's very time consuming, and as per the time constraints, that is 2 hours for 118, 120 kind of questions, I would say it's not worth spending that kind of time in DI. You can instead spend that time in LR or QA. Okay? Stay alert of any pattern changes because DI is usually clubbed with other sections, and latter part of the section is usually easier than DI. Let's take an example. This question has appeared in IIFT. The following table gives a percentage distribution of population of 5 states, P, Q, R, S, and T, on the basis of poverty line and also on the basis of sex. The table has like these 4 columns: state, percentage of population below the poverty line, then proportion of males and females, BPL and APL, as below poverty line and above poverty line. Okay, so the states are P, Q, R, S, and T. Percent of population below poverty line is 35, so above poverty line would be rest 65%. In state Q, the percent of population below poverty line is 25, so the rest 75% will be above poverty line, and so on. And then proportion of males and females is given to you. For below poverty line, the proportion of male is to female is 5:6 for state P. Proportion of males to female for above poverty line population is 6:7 for state P, and so on. So if you look at this data, it's not as easy as it looks, first of all, right? There is involvement of a lot of numbers, and all the values are in percentage and ratio forms. The first perception about this table is that all the values are in percentage and ratio forms. You don't have any absolute value here. For example, the population of state P is not given. The total population of all the states is not given. Males to female ratio is given, but what is the number of males? What is the number of females? This kind of information is not given in the question. So everything is percentage and in ratios form. Now, for example, this question appears: what will be the male population above poverty line for state P if the female population below poverty line for state P is 2.1 million? Okay, so the first absolute number thrown at me is 2.1 million, which is what? The female population below poverty line for state P. So what am I looking at? I'm looking at the first row. Okay, there's a lot of ways to solve this question. Let's discuss one of these ways. You have to think fast. Total population of P, you assume to be X million, right? And you don't go ahead and try to find out the total population in absolute terms. You don't have to do that. You have to focus, you have to understand what the question is asking. There is no need of calculating this X at all. It was given that below poverty line population of P is 35% of X from the table. That means above poverty line population will be 65% of X. Okay, now males to female ratio is 5:6. Female population is, that means 6/11 of below poverty line population of P. Right, this males to female ratio is for BPL population. That means female population is 6/11 of BPL population of P. 6/11 of below poverty population is 35% of X is equal to 2.1. X turns out to be this value, right? But I won't go ahead and calculate this value as yet. We'll see what the question is asking now. But to find out the male population above poverty line. Now, above poverty line population is 65% of X. Give me a moment, guys. Okay. So discussing that above poverty line population of P is 65% of X. Now male to female ratio is 6 is to 7. That is male population is 6 by 13 of above poverty line population of P. Okay. Above poverty line population is 65% of X. X is something like this here. And I have not calculated or done anything with this fraction value, this expression as yet, because I know that I need to use these values in numerator and denominator as is. Okay, so 6 by 13 into 65 upon 100 into whatever the X value is. Now see a lot of cancellations happening. 13 into 5 is 65, 5 into 0.7 is 3.5 and so on, and my answer turns out to be 3.3. So these are some also different methods, some unique ways of solving these questions faster. Okay, if we have any active audience, if you want to check anything, any questions, please let me know. We'll move on to important last minute quants revision section. Okay, I'll wait for a few more seconds for people to comment, to ask questions if they have any. चलिए बढ़ते हैं. There are no comments, no questions. So for revision of Quants for IIFT 2019 in these 5 days, these are some suggestions I have for you. Revise fraction values from 1 by 2 through 1 by 20. That's why the percentage equivalent of fraction values, for example, 1 by 17 is 5.88%, 1 by 15 is 6.66%, 1 by 11 is 9.09%, and so on. These should be on the fingertips. For example, a direct use of these fraction values, we'll see the concept of PCG is also being used here. An article is marked up by 5.26% and sold at no gain, no loss. What discount was given on this article? Conventionally, this question can be solved using equations, bringing in variables, but we're going to solve this in less than 15 seconds. Options are 5.26%, 5%, 5.55%, 7%. Let's see how we can solve this question in less than 15 seconds. So I'll assume the cost price to be 100 rupees. Right? Now this cost price is marked up by 5.26%. 5.26% in terms of fraction values is plus 1 by 19. It gives you value 105.26. Now PCG concept says if you're increasing a value by plus 1 by A and you're arriving at a different value, say B. So you're increasing 100 by plus 1 by 19%. Right? That is 1 by 19 into 100. What you're adding to 100 and getting 105.26. To move back to the same value, because my selling price is also 100, because I'm selling at no gain, no loss. Right? To come back to the same value, I'll have to decrease this value by minus 1 upon 19 plus 1. So if you're increasing by plus 1 by A, PCG says you'll have to reduce it by minus 1 upon A plus 1 to come back to the same value. In this case, minus 1 upon 19 plus 1, which is minus 1 upon 20, which is minus 5%. Okay. A simple concept of PCG is used here. Revision number 2 for quantitative aptitude for IIFT 2019. Learn square values. This will also help you in DI questions. And if you're struggling to learn square values, I'll have something for you. I have a shortcut for you to remember square values beyond 20 square. Okay, so learn square values from 2 square through 30 square. Beyond this is not required. If you think you have time and you can do that, please go ahead. Otherwise, I don't recommend you to do that. Learn square values only till 30 square. Should do the job, right? Here is a knack of learning square values beyond 20. Check this out. I draw a U. On top left of U, I write 20 square, which is 400. Pretty easy. Everyone knows. 21 square is 441. 22 square is 484. 23 square is 529. 24 square is 576. Now, if you add 500 to this 20 square, you get the value of 30 square, which is 900. Then, when you add 400 to the value of 21 square, you get the value of 29 square. Then if you add 300 to the value of 22 square, you get the value of 28 square. Then you add 200 to the value of 23 square, you get the value of 27 square. Then you add 100 to the value of 24 square, you get the value of 26 square. Pretty simple. Okay, if there's anyone who has any doubts, please let me know. I'm going to keep the session open for a minute. Take any doubts, any questions, any particular questions. We're revising some important topics, some important chapters, some important concepts for QA for IIFT 2019. Okay, no comments, no doubts coming in. Let's move on. Let's revise this PCG, that is percentage change graph, one important concept. So if you're increasing a value 100 to 120, if I ask you what is the absolute value change, you can easily say it's 20. But if I ask you what is the percentage value change, you would say it's 20%. How did you calculate that? You took the absolute value, which is of 20, divided by initial value, which is 100 into 100. So it's ought to be 20%. Now, the denominator is always the initial value unless stated otherwise. Right? The percentage change based on final value can also be calculated. You take the absolute value change, which is 20, divided by the final value, which is 120 into 100. Right? This turns out to be 1 by 6 into 100, which is 16.67%. PCG says, if you're increasing a certain value by a certain percentage, which can be converted into a fraction value with denominator as integer, as we just saw in our table of fractions, right? For example, we're increasing 100 by 20%. 20% can be written as plus 1 by 5, right? And you arrive at 120. To move back to the same value, you'll have to reduce this final value by minus 1 upon this denominator value plus 1. So if you're increasing by plus 1 by a, you have to decrease by minus 1 upon a plus 1. In this case, you're increasing by plus 1 by 5. So you'll have to decrease by minus 1 upon 5 plus 1, which is minus 1 upon 6. Likewise, if you're decreasing initially by 20% in this case, that is minus 1 by 5 is a decrease. You'll have to increase it by plus 1 upon a minus 1, that is plus 1 upon 5 minus 1, which is plus 1 upon 4. So if you're decreasing by minus 1 by a, you'll have to increase it by plus 1 upon a minus 1. We'll take an example that has appeared in CAT 2017. Such a question can be answered in less than 30 seconds. A man leaves his home and walks at a speed of 12 km per hour, reaching the railway station 10 minutes after the train had departed. If instead he had walked at a speed of 15 km per hour, he would have reached the station 10 minutes before the train's departure. The distance from his home to the railway station is something we need to calculate. Now, this question has appeared in CAT 2017, and I'm telling you this question can be answered including the reading time. This question can be answered in less than 30 seconds. So I'll keep the session open for a minute to take any queries, any comments, any questions if anyone has. No questions, no comments. All right. Let's move on to how to solve this question. Thought process for CAT. It's a simple question based on PCG. What is happening is original speed is equal to original distance upon original time. What is happening in this question is that speed is getting increased by 3 km per hour, which is 25% of original speed, is what is given in the question. Instead of 12 km per hour, we're now moving at the speed of 15 km per hour. Now the distance between home and the station is the same, so d is constant. That means time will have to reduce to accommodate this increase in speed, right? So speed is increasing by 25%, which is increase of 3 km per hour on 12 km per hour. Therefore, speed is getting increased by 1 by 4, plus 1 by 4 is happening. And you're getting new speed, which is 25% increased speed, is equal to original distance upon original time. Time is not adjusted yet. Now, time will have to be adjusted. This is the denominator. Therefore, time will decrease with the increase in speed. How much? Let's see. PCG says if you're increasing by plus 1 by 4, you'll have to decrease by minus 1 upon 4 plus 1, which is minus 1 upon 5, which is 20%. Therefore, the time is getting reduced by 20% of original time, which, as per the question, is 20 minutes, right? Because earlier I was reaching 10 minutes after the train departure. Now I'm reaching 10 minutes before the train's departure. So I'm saving 20 minutes now. Let's see. The speed increase of 25% decrease the time by 20%. 20% of original time is given as per the question as 20 minutes. Original time is going to be 20 into 100 upon 20. That is 100 minutes. Therefore, original speed was 12 km per hour or 200 meters per minute as per the question. And original time was 100 minutes. What is the distance? Distance is going to be using the formula speed equals to distance upon time. Distance is speed into time. That is 200 into 100, which is 20,000 meters or 20 kilometer. This is what the distance is. So the answer is 20 kilometer. Okay. Revision number 4 for QA for IIFT 2019. Let me keep the session open for another minute for people to comment or ask questions or doubts if they have any. I'm waiting for people to post any doubts, any queries if they have. Okay, nothing. Let's move on to revision number 4, topic number 4, which is mind maps of averages. Learn diagrammatically the concept of averages. If you're confused, and IIFT asks a lot of questions around this concept, averages. We have done this before, done this yesterday. Right, you can watch the recording. Then, revision number 5, diagram of alligations. Remember this diagram on the top, as you see. For example, there are two classes with the number of students as N1 and N2 respectively. Class number N1 has average age as A1. Class number 2, that is with number of students as N2, has average age of the students as A2. You have to find out what happens to the average or the total number of students from class 1 and class 2 combined. Okay, what we know is that this AW that we're talking about is going to lie between A1 and A2. Say A1 is less than A2, for example, right? So how would you calculate? These are 5 variables in front of you. The question will give you 4 variables and will expect you to find out the 5th variable. There can be a lot of questions around this. Formula is AW minus A1. AW is a higher value than A1. divided by N2. Check out this arrows that we are drawing here. AW minus A1 divided by N2 is equal to A2 minus AW divided by N1. This is an alligation equation, cross method approach. Okay, remember this. Questions are 5 variables are given. There are 2 weights, that is N1 and N2, volume or the number of students, for example, and the 3 averages, A1, A2 and AW given to you. You have to find out of 5, 4 variables will be given. We'll have to find out the 5th one. Division number 6. Remember to visualize what is happening in the question. That is what we're going to do now. We're going to take CAT-alyst question and we're going to visualize what is happening in the question and then solve it. Question reads, answer the question on the basis of information given below. Ram and Sham run a race between points A and B, 5 km apart. Ram starts at 9 a.m. from A at a speed of 5 km per hour, reaches B and returns to A at the same speed. Sham starts at 9:45 a.m. from A at a speed of 10 km per hour, reaches B and comes back to A at the same speed. Okay? Not as easy question as it looks. We'll see what is happening in the question. Ram and Sham are starting from the starting point at time equal to 0. Right? Ram की speed है 5 km per hour, Sham की speed है 10 km per hour. Ram is leaving at 9 a.m. Sham is leaving at 9:45 a.m. The distance to cover is 5 km between A and B. The path Ram follows is in green. The path Sham follows is in red. Question is, at what time do Ram and Sham first meet each other? 10 a.m., 10:10 a.m., 10:20 a.m. or 10:30 a.m. Thought process, where do they meet and how do they meet? Let's see. This is the first case on when they can meet. That Ram is still moving towards B and Sham, because he is at a higher speed, covers the distance between them and meets Ram on the way before they both touch point number B. Second is that Ram has touched point B and coming back to A, and Sham, while moving towards B, meets Ram. Okay, now let's see what is going to happen. At 9 a.m., they both are at the start point. This is how the diagram looks. At 9:45, what happens? Ram covered a distance of, at the speed of 5 km per hour is what Ram is traveling, right? So he covers, in 45 minutes, he covers 3/4 of the distance. 3/4 of 5 km is 3.75 km. Why do we calculate at 9:45 a.m.? Because this is the time when Sham also starts running, right? So at 9:45 a.m., this is what the diagram looks like. Ram is at 3.75 km away from A, and Sham is still at the starting point, which is point A. At 10 a.m., what happens? At 10 a.m., Ram reaches B. Okay, we drew this diagram because now they both are in motion B. And Sham would have covered in 15 minutes beyond 9:45. Sham would have covered half the distance because his speed is 10 km per hour. So in 1/4 of his speed, which is 10 km per hour, he would have covered 1/4 of the half of this 5 km, which is 2.5 km. So Ram and Sham are now 2.5 km apart. Now their motion are in opposite directions. Hi Akash, good evening, how are you? Good evening. You joined a bit late though. Right, but never mind, we have another session at 8 o'clock. Right, this session is 20 minutes we are left in this session now. Okay, after that we'll connect again over IIFT, some concepts around IIFT, important for IIFT at 8 o'clock. Okay, but never mind, focus on this question that we are doing right now. So we're discussing that at 10 a.m. You can watch the recording and read the question, Akash, okay? If you have any doubts, again, we can connect. So at 10 a.m. what happens? Ram and Sham are 2.5 km apart and they're moving in opposite direction. At what speeds? At 5 km per hour and at 10 km per hour. Distance to cover is 2.5 km. Thought process, what to do next? Ram and Sham running in opposite directions. Together they need to cover a distance of 2.5 kilometer. We use a concept of relative speed, which is total distance to be covered upon total time taken. Relative speed here, when they're moving in the same opposite direction, the relative speed would be added. That is, individual speeds would be added to calculate the relative speed. If the speeds are 5 and 10, they get added, becomes 15. Total distance to cover is 2.5 kilometer. In how much time can we do that? 0.167, which is 1/6 of an hour, which is 10 minutes. What happens at 10:10 a.m., these two people meet. So the whole idea of discussing this question was to actually see how visualization can actually help you solve these kind of questions, especially TSD questions. Right? So Kash, if you have any specific doubts around IIFT or any other OMET, please let me know, because the whole idea of taking this session on YouTube is to help you guys live with your doubts and queries and any questions that you may have. Right. If you have any doubts, any other particular chapter, particular concept, particular exam specific doubts, please let me know. Please comment. I'm here to help you. Okay, no doubts, you're saying? Chaliye. Let's move ahead then. Number system ke basics. Akash, I'm going to take a live session. A special class tomorrow is IIFT revision. Okay. Number system ke basic. Then I have it on my agenda, but I'm not sure when and where, as in which platform. Is it going to be special class or YouTube? I'm going to be taking that session on. But definitely, just keep following. You'll definitely see something around number systems coming in. There will be 2 sessions I'll be taking, or 3 sessions around number systems. One will be basics, second will be advanced level concepts and questions, and third will be some past year IIFT and CAT level questions around number systems. Please discuss some number systems and geometry if possible. Yes, Akash, as I said, I'm going to take some sessions around that. Okay. There's a lag in the comment and the video, so probably got it late. So the mind map of ratio and proportion is what we were discussing. Remember that volume ratio is inversely proportional to concentration ratio. So Akash, learn these things too, besides number system. There's some concepts I'm discussing here which are very unconventional, how to solve these questions around ratio and proportion and averages and alligations. So I'm sure you're going to learn something from this discussion as well. Okay. So let's discuss this. For example, there are 2 mixtures given to you. I'm going to exemplify straight away what I say here. Volume ratio is inverse of concentration ratio. The 2 solutions given to you, for example, one is 20 liter of 0% milk, that is water. And another solution is 80 liters of 100% milk, that is pure milk. Okay. Now what every milkman does is mixes some water in milk. So the quantity increases and they can earn more. Right? So see, let's see what's going to happen here. Remember the statement, volume ratio is inverse of concentration ratio. 20 liter and 80 liter. What is the ratio of volume? We are mixing these 2 solutions in. 20 is to 80, which is 1:4. Right? So the concentration ratio is going to be inverse of 1:4, which is volume ratio. Concentration ratio is going to be 4:1. What I mean here is that take the 2 concentration values, 0% and 100%. This ratio has to be divided in 5 parts. 0 to 100 in 5 parts is 20% each. Now the concentration of the mixture we are looking at is going to be 4 parts away from 0% and 1 part away from 100%. 1 part is 20%. Every part is 20% value. 4 parts is 4 into 20, that is 80% away from 0%, or 100 minus 20% away from 100%. Okay, so this is what we mean. The volume ratio is X is to Y, that is X liter and Y liter are getting mixed. The concentration ratio is going to be inverse of this, that is Y is to X. Revision topic number 8. Mind map of cost price, mark price and selling price. Some people get confused between all these terminologies. Remember this diagram in front of you. Cost price CP, mark price is MP and selling price is SP. A markup or markdown always happens on cost price. The base, the denominator is always cost price. And you arrive at mark price, right? So sometimes you must have read in the question that an article is marked up by 20%, or marked up by 50%, or marked down by 30%. You arrive at mark price. Now, a discount is always given on your mark price. So the base is always mark price when you are talking about discounts. And you arrive at selling price. You must have seen in questions a discount of 20%, 50% is given. So it is always on the mark price. Okay? What you arrive at is SP. Now, the difference between SP and CP is helpful to calculate your profit or loss. If your selling price is greater than your cost price, you're earning a profit. If your selling price is less than your cost price, you're bearing a loss. Okay? So this subtraction value is positive. SP minus CP, the value is positive. You're earning a profit. If SP minus CP is negative, you're bearing a loss. Okay? Revision number 9. This is something we're going to discuss in detail also in a separate class. So I'm not going to touch it right now. So this is going to take some time. We're going to discuss everything, functions and graphs in a separate session. Okay? We're going to move on to, and you're going to get notified once I launch that course. So Akash, you can check out my special class I launched for tomorrow at 9:15 a.m. on Unacademy platform. You can see this is a special class notification there if you're following me on Unacademy. And that session is going to be just about functions and important graphs. That is algebra for IIFT 2019. Okay. Revision number 10 for QA. That is effect of change of numerator and denominator on fractions. Something very important. Mark some important results tomorrow, 9:15 a.m. Akash, not p.m. Early morning. I have 2 sessions tomorrow at 8 a.m. and at 9:15 a.m. So 8 to 9 and 9:15 through 10:15 morning. The 2 special classes I've launched. 8 through 9 is more or less is going to be more or less around the same points that we're discussing here, so you can skip that, but you can come to the 9:15 wala class. Okay, some important results of percentages and PCG in fractions. Let's see. When a numerator upon denominator, that is a fraction value is given to you, and I tell you that numerator is increasing and denominator is decreasing, you can clearly say that the whole fraction value is getting increased. Because numerator is getting increased, denominator is getting decreased. Okay. Second case, when numerator is getting decreased and denominator is getting increased, you can clearly say, blindly say that fraction value is getting decreased. Okay. But what happens when I tell you that numerator is increasing and denominator is also increasing? In that case, you'll have to calculate the percentage change in numerator and denominator. You'll have to see if numerator is changing faster or denominator is changing faster, right? For example, there are 2 fraction values we're going to discuss here. 22 upon 40 is getting changed to 26 upon 44. And if I ask you, right, if the fraction value is decreasing or increasing, how will you find that out? Little louder? Okay, is it better now? Vishal? Akash? Is it better? Chaliye. So we were discussing this important concept, which was effect of change of numerator and denominator on fractions. Okay, and these questions are asked also in the interviews, right? This could be a application of a bigger DI set or a bigger DI question, but to understand how numerator and denominator can actually change the value of the fractions is very important. And interviews also, there's sometimes, just to check, how well you are prepared for the aptitude exam. For example, was it a fluke, or are you really good with your aptitude? They ask you these questions directly. For example, a question appears in front of you. They say 22 divided by 40 is getting changed to 26 divided by 44 if the fraction value is increasing or decreasing is the question. Okay, the first thing I notice is that the numerator is getting increased and the denominator is getting increased. What happens in this case? Check this out, the third case. When the numerator and denominator both are increasing, you cannot blindly tell if the fraction value is increasing or decreasing. In the first two cases, you would easily tell. The third case, you cannot easily tell. You have to find out which is changing faster, numerator or denominator. Let's see. So you calculate the percentage change in the numerator first. From 22, the value is getting increased to 26. 26 minus 22 upon 22, which is turning out to be 4 upon 22 into 100. So this is 2 upon 11. Now, see the magic of learning fraction values. If you remember that 1 by 11 is 9.09, you would know what 2 upon 11 would be, which will be 2 into 9.09, which is 18.18%. So the percentage change in numerator is of 18.18%. Okay? And the percentage change in the denominator is of 44 minus 40 upon 40, which is 4 upon 40 into 100, that is of 10%. Okay? So numerator is changing by 18.18% and denominator is changing by 10%, which is changing faster, which is changing more, numerator. Therefore, the whole fraction value is increasing. Okay? Because in the change, numerator is changing more and increasing more, not decreasing. The change is of increase on the upper side. It's the upside change that is happening, right? So the fraction value is going to increase. Likewise, fourth case is numerator upon denominator for a fraction is given, and you are told that both numerator and denominator decrease. Can you blindly say if the fraction value is increasing or decreasing? No. You'll have to calculate how much is numerator decreasing, how much is denominator decreasing, what percentage, and which one is sorry, and which one is changing faster. Okay, clear, Akash, Vishal? Some small things but are very important in IIFT kind of exam. Chaliye. Second, revise important formulae. I'm not going to go through each and every formula of QA. I would suggest that you download some static PDF, some PDF online. A lot of websites I can give you this PDF. Just type important formulae for quantitative aptitude for CAT, and you'll get those formulae in a single document, and you can download it and remember those formulae. Some last minute tips, last week tips. It's not do or die anymore. You got like a full year to prepare for this exam. Do or die was your preparation period. Now it's just revision and solving more and more questions and just strategizing accordingly to the paper, to the exam that you're appearing for next. Okay, it's time to just replicate what you've learned. Last week tip number 2, catch up on enough sleep. You know you don't perform well under pressure. So just why catch up on enough sleep? So that your body adapts to the new clock of the exam, right? CAT must have been early morning or in the afternoon, that's the evening session, 2:30 through 5:30. Your body is used to that right now. Now you should sleep at a time and be very active at a time when IIFT exam is, right? Last one, tip number 3, adjust your body clock is what we just talked about. Wake up every day as if it's the exam day so that your body is not tired, you're not tired, not feeling sleepy at the time period where the exam is, when the exam is. Okay, I'll come to that, Akash. Last one, tip number 4, control your taste buds, avoid junk food, party after exam now, do not get so drunk, don't eat so much so that your stomach is bad, and these days we have a lot of viral fever being spread. So take care of your health right now. It's very important. Last minute tip number 5. Remember, it's not the end of the world. You prepare, you perform, you have some backup plan. The world moves on, life moves on. Tip number 6, reach the venue on time. You don't want to worry about something that trivial that day. And if you encounter a moment of panic in exam, I would say take a break of a minute, take a deep breath, drink some water. If it helps, look around and tell yourself that you're sure you're better than them all. Okay, so such kind of encouragement, such kind of inspiration is very important. Let's come to the question Akash is asking. Denominator decrease is more than, there will be decrease. So if numerator and denominator both are decreasing and the decrease in the denominator is more, that means the whole fraction value is going to increase. Opposite is going to happen here, because when the denominator decreases and numerator is constant, for example, denominator decreases, the fraction value increases, right? In this case, if numerator decreases from 100 to 99, for example, and denominator decreases from 100 to 25, then the whole fraction value is going to increase. Check it out. Pick up the pen and paper, do this application. Change it yourself and check it out. What happens when denominator decreases in a fraction and numerator is constant, for example. How to prepare for general awareness? Sir, should we focus only on current affairs? Akash, I would suggest that if you have not done static GK yet, leave it, right? If you can spend like another day or two on static GK, because static GK is a pool of questions. There are a lot of questions that can appear from static GK, and of late, these exams have moved away from static GK but towards current affairs. So focus more on that. And the cutoff for GK is just 1.5 marks or 1 mark sometimes out of 9, which is just a matter of 3 questions getting right. If you are not very good with GK, I would say just be good enough that you solve 6-7 questions in GK, score 2.53 marks, 3 marks, and move on to the next section where you can maximize your score. So do not worry about that. That is not something I would be worried about right now. GK is just a mere 9 marks. Even if you score 2.53, you've cleared the cutoff extremely well, and score is also good enough because there is not much scope. And GK is always very vast, so there's no need to panic right now. There's no need to worry about anything right now. If you are not prepared for GK, it's okay. Just be prepared enough that you clear the cutoff. There are other sections where you can maximize your score. Okay, anything else? Sure, you're welcome. Let's connect again at 8 o'clock. I'm going to start taking some individual topics. Say we can take number systems also, Akash. If you're interested in discussing number systems, let me take number systems at 8 o'clock while a session, YouTube session, right? And I can take one session and we can get done with the basics of number systems. What all topics are required to be done in number systems that are important for IIFT. Okay, let's connect again at 8 o'clock. 8 to 9 is going to be the session time. Okay, you say you don't have any doubts. Vishal, if you're still live, do you have any doubts? And anyone else who is live and wants to check anything? Or we're good to close the session? Sure, you're welcome, Akash. And don't thank me as yet. We have a lot more sessions to connect over. So keep bringing your doubts, right? Do not back down right now. In a way that, bring your doubts. I'll be very happy to help you out in any way possible. Okay? Thank me later once you're done with all these exams. And when you tell me that your exams went well, because we connected over these sessions and my suggestions really helped you. Okay? So if there's anyone who has any doubts, any questions, anything to check, please let me know. The session is open for another minute. Otherwise, we can close the session. Okay, nothing. Sorry, thank you so much for attending, guys. Let's